Hi everyone, thanks for watching this video on VLOOKUPs. What is a VLOOKUP? A VLOOKUP allows you to look up a value or reference in a cell. Say the word home appears in the cell. It allows you to look up that value home and look in another set of data, find the word home and pull out data that you request based on that word home. That's what a VLOOKUP is. It stands for vertical lookup. So when you're actually looking for that data, it will, when you select home and you go into the other set of data to look up home, it will look up vertically. So up and down the column, find home, and then pull out the information that you request. It will make much more sense when I show you this as an example. So here we go, random set of data, completely made up. And I just want to point out, this is very basic data. What we're showing you in this video is a very high level, quick demonstration on what a VLOOKUP is and how it works at very high level and basic level. So in reality, this could be much more complicated in terms of the actual data itself, but the same concept would apply. We don't want to go into too much detail right now. That's not what this video is for, but feel free after watching this, if you do want to learn more and have some more questions, please feel free to contact us. Our website's in the description. We offer tuition, so we can go into much detail with you on a one-to-one basis with different examples of how this all works. But please continue to watch and we can show you. So here we have a random set of data. Now I've got a monthly P&L. Now this is a P&L account for individuals at work. So as you can see, I've got people's names here and the commission that they've generated, the FX commission they've generated, some other revenue that they've got. This whole section is revenue and the total for that. It also has each of their costs, as you can see. And what I want is to create a create a P&L with this information, so I can see what each person's revenue was less their costs, or what their profit comes to. And this is where I want to populate my data, this bit here. So the idea is, the end goal is, if I type in someone's name in here, let's say Jenny Dunlop. So if I type Jenny Dunlop in there, all of this information I want populated as a P&L, so I can see her profit in this cell here. That's the goal of this, and that's what VLOOKUP is going to help us do. So let me start it right now. So I'll just get it going so you can actually see the concept in play. So in this cell here, O19, I want to see the commission, because if I go across, that's where my commission is. So I want commissions for any name that I type into there, okay? And these are the names there. So I'm going to start right now. So equals VLOOKUP, open brackets. I'm going to select my lookup value, which is going to be the name I'm going to type into here. So anything I type into there. So that's my lookup value. The area I want for revenue is this area here. This contains my revenue. It got my name and the commission, etc. So that's the information I want. The column number, in this particular case, I want column 2. And that's because when you select the data, the very first column of the data that you selected has to contain the lookup value. So in this case, the lookup value is the name. So it has to contain name, and that's column 1. Next columns 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So in this case, I want to look up someone's name, which is in column 1. I want commission, which is in column 2. So that's going to be 2. And then the last bit, true or false, this is going to be false, because I want an exact match, not an approximate match. So I'm going to type in false there, close my formula, hit return, and it comes up with NA, which is an error, but that's fine. It's an error because there's nothing in here at the moment. So, and I'm going to leave that there because I want to show you this at the end. So for now, we'll keep it as an A. Now, at this point, I appreciate you're probably thinking, okay, went really, really fast there. Again, this is just a very high level of VLOOKUP. I just want to show you a VLOOKUP in practice and how it looks. Because everyone's going to have so many different questions on this, and some people work at a fast pace, some people work at a slow pace, which is absolutely fine. That's why we do offer this tuition. So, you just get one-on-one help with someone on how all these concepts work, and you can ask as many questions in a relaxed environment and get to grips with things. Because when you go into the workplace, obviously this is all at a very basic level. You can imagine at work, you've got lots of data coming from different places, and they're going to be messy data that's going to need cleaning and arranging, etc. There's so much you can do with Excel once you get to grips with it. The idea behind all these different tutorials that we're doing is to show you some of the key concepts. If you were to go into the workplace or go for an interview and you have a very basic level of Excel, they're going to want to know if you know certain things in Excel, but at the very basic level. So certain things are pivot tables and if statements and VLOOKUPs and conditional formatting. These are things that you kind of need to know. I guess they're at an intermediate level. Some would say advanced. I'd say it's more intermediate to advanced. But these are the grounding of Excel, if you like. If you know this stuff, you can pretty much get a job in Excel like that. As long as you understand that, you'll be fine. And that's what we're here to show you and help you with. And also the tuition takes that a step further. So let me carry on with this. The next one is foreign exchange revenue, which is FX. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Equals VLOOKUP, open brackets, select name, which I'll put in a bit later, select my data. Now, FX is in column 3. So if you remember, that's 1. So it'll be 1, 2, 3. So that will be 3. And I want an exact match. And that will be false. There we go. And I'll do the same for other. Now, there's actually quicker ways of doing this. I'll talk about that at the end. So VLOOKUP, same thing. Whoops. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. So that's all my information for revenue. And for cost, it's going to be exactly the same thing. So equals VLOOKUP. And I'm going to try and do this the quicker way. So the first step is to carry on as normal. It's 2 again and false. Perfect. Now, I just want to drag this down so I don't have to keep repeating the same process. Now, in order to do this, it requires making absolute values. Absolute values are where you put a $ in front of a cell reference, and wherever the $ is, that reference won't move. Let me explain. This is the formula at the moment. I'm looking up that value there and this reference here. I'm going to just drag that down to travel. And I'm going to click into the formula and you can see what's happened. So because I've gone down, can you see all my references? Your name was there, that's gone down. All these have also go down as well. And that's meant to happen because I'm dragging down, my cell references will go down. But if I input a $, which makes these references absolute, they stick so they don't move. That's what it's for. It kind of glues them into place. So even if I drag, they're not going to move. And that's what I'm going to do. See if I can make this easier. Now, again, very small bit of data, profit and loss account. Imagine you had 10 rows where you wanted to repeat this formula. This is where the dragging down would really help. If it's 20 rows, for example, and you need to input this formula, you don't want to type this formula out 20 times. You only want to type it out once. That's where this formula comes into play. And I'm just going to go slightly off tangent here and explain Excel, where sometimes when you're trying to create spreadsheets in Excel with formulas and functions and whatnot, the initial process of that may take some time to get perfect, a fair bit of time, but the idea is that initial investment in time into making your spreadsheet work very well means going down the line you'll save a lot of time. And I can tell you from experience, I've worked in finance for 10 years and it works. I mean, that's what you do. You start off, you take a bit of time creating spreadsheets, but then thereafter it's like click and go. You save so much time. I mean, I managed to cut down. I took on a piece of work from someone. It took about a week. The work that they were doing took about a week. I took it over. Took me 3 months to get a couple of spreadsheets in place, and 1 week's worth of work took a day. So it went from a week to a day. And imagine that going forward for the next few years. It was perfect. We saved a lot of time. So it's worth doing. When I say 3 months, not a full 3 months. It took about 3 weeks over 3 months, so a week's worth of work each month every time I was doing this at a certain point in each month. So yeah, 3 weeks worth of work to save a week, or to knock out 4 days, which is pretty good. So let me show you this absolute situation. So when I drag down, I don't want name to move whatsoever, so I'm going to stick in some $signs there. So a $sign in front of the O, which is the column, and 15, which is the row reference there, so dollar signs there, so that's not going to move. And I don't want any of this to move either, so I'm also going to stick in, going to stick in some dollar signs there. Okay. Now, if I drag that down again, you'll see everything stayed the same. Dollar signs, they're like glue. They stick your reference in place. Even if you move around, nothing's going to happen. Perfect. That's what I want. And travel is in column 3. So all I need to do is change that to a 3. And so drag that down again. And that needs to be 4. And I'll just stick in an underline there because that disappeared. Where's my, here we go, bottom border, sorry. Okay, so I've got my formulas in. Total revenue, that's just a sum of all these 3. So a simple formula of sum. So I want the sum of those. And total cost, same thing. I want the sum of those figures are there. And total profit is my total revenue minus my cost. Now I want this information to actually appear. I need some numbers here. So this is looking up, as you can see here, this is looking up a blank. Now I don't want a blank there, I need a name there. That's the reason for these errors, because there's no name there for it to look up. So if I type in a name here, all of this information should populate. Now we've got the VLOOKUPs in. So I'm going to use Jenny Dunlop. So I'm going to type Jenny Dunlop in here as an example, and what should happen is all of this should be populated. So, well, here goes. Okay, we've got some numbers. Are they correct or not? So, okay, 589 is the total of the commission, and 2025, yep, it's just rounded up, that's all. 2025.72026 is a cost. So there we go. So just by typing in the figure, because of these VLOOKUPs, right now I've got a total profit. So just from that information, that's what I get. If I type Jack Willis in, same thing, you know, got information. I can type any name I want, and all the information is going to appear there. Right there, as you can see, it's 2358 there, 2357.62, just rounding again, just to prove that. If I go across there, 235762, it's just clearing up the decimal places as well. And same for costs, 1519, 1519 there. And that's it, that's how it works. That is a VLOOKUP. Hopefully that makes sense, and you can see the benefits of a VLOOKUP and the concept of it looking up a value against another set of data. And as you can see, it can be really useful. Now just imagine you're in a different situation with data from different sources, and using the same example, say you wanted to create a P&L, much larger P&L, and each item came from a different source of data in a different method, etc. You know, it requires some cleaning up and some VLOOKUPs and maybe some other formulas. But again, you can create a spreadsheet with a P&L with some initial work, and thereafter, you know, just hit return. Bam, you've got your data. So I hope that high level concept made sense. Again, yeah, if you want some help, please contact us. The link is in the description. We can give you some one-to-one tuition on anything you want. It doesn't have to be VLOOKUPs. Obviously, it can be other areas in Excel. Just message us and get back to us. Thanks for watching.